I see a lot of people on social media who like to flex by wearing fancy watches, nice suits, driving luxury cars, and living in sky-rise penthouse suites. But does that mean that they're actually rich? Most of the people that I know who are actually rich actually live pretty low-key. And as a multi-millionaire who still wears $3 t-shirts from Primark, I think that luxury fashion is a trap designed to make you feel rich while actually making you poorer. So in today's video, we're going to be looking if luxury fashion is for broke people. But before we do, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think.
The rich don't dress like you think they do. They aren't buying Gucci belts, Saint Laurent bags, or Versace robes. The middle class is. Take a look at these 3 bags. 2 are from Walmart and 1 is from Louis Vuitton.
2 is from Walmart and 1 is from LV. So yeah, obviously here, Louis Vuitton in the middle. This bag will probably go for $1,000, maybe $2,000. I'm actually not sure because I don't buy expensive purses. And the other 2 bags are probably under $100. So we'll see what he says.
But I lied. One of those other bags isn't from Walmart. It's actually a Birkin worth over $30,000.
God damn! Some people would say that at a certain level, some of these bags are actually investments because they're limited in supply. People know the brand Hermes, and it's like, if you know, you know. And if you don't know, then this isn't for you anyway. So it is interesting. Personally, I wouldn't invest $30,000 into a bag. I'd rather put that $30,000 to work and invest it in a nice stock or buy a property with it.
Most high-end products are really only status symbols for those that can't afford it. Real luxury hides in plain sight. If you've seen the show Succession, you're probably aware of how one character's featureless $625 cashmere hat helped popularize conversations regarding stealth wealth.
Again, I feel like you get these kind of clothing and these styles at the Gap, at Walmart, at an outlet store. You would look basically the same. And I think, again, what he's trying to say is that stealth wealth is where you look very casual, but the quality of the materials is very good. Like everything is very fitted. You feel very comfortable in it versus if you buy something off the shelf, maybe it doesn't fit you quite right, or maybe the quality breaks and it degrades over time.
While famous movie stars are often pictured in the regular designer brands that you've heard of, like Gucci and Balenciaga, many times they're paid to advertise it. The truly rich, that aren't constantly in the spotlight, have an entirely different kind of wardrobe, one based around minimalism, quality, and fit.
I think if you're really, really rich, you don't want to be advertising to other people that you are super rich because then you become a target, right? If you're always walking around with these giant like diamond rings, then people will want to like stalk you and possibly rob you. But if you're, again, like Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates here, you know, we know who they are because they're famous, but if we didn't know who they were, they could walk across the street and no one would think anything about them. And, you know, they're not targets to be robbed. Again, most of their wealth probably isn't even on their person, right? They're not going to have expensive luxury things that you can just take. They're all going to be like stocks or equities that you can't just take in from robbery.
For example, those plain gray t-shirts that Mark Zuckerberg wears, they are $400 custom made from Brunello Cucinelli, yet to most people, it looks like it could be from Target.
That looks like my $3 t-shirt that I can get at Primark.
Like many other animals on Earth, we place value on status symbols as they can project value upon ourselves. Male peacocks use their colorful feathers to attract a mate, penguins collect pebbles to prove their worth, and us humans purchase douchey luxury goods.
You know, something interesting, like I asked my friends, like, why do they like nice watches? And he was saying it's basically jewelry for men. Like, you know, most women, they like to wear necklaces, earrings, and whatnot. And men, for the most part, their watches are their jewelry. So it's a way for them to flex.
The reason we don't see the ultra rich like Jeff Bezos dripped out in Gucci is because we all know he's rich. He doesn't need to prove it. However, when you see your neighbor or coworker wearing a new designer outfit, you immediately begin to wonder about how they were able to afford it. Turns out, a lot of the time, they can't. And
I'm gonna be real, I think it's better off this way too, where like I don't want to be seen as the richest guy in my neighborhood. It'll make me feel uncomfortable if I'm driving like the nicest car and everyone around me is looking at my house like this. Actually, I like to live really low key. My car is a 9 years old car, Corolla, very reliable. I don't have to worry about sticking out like a sore thumb. And it also helps too because then you don't have people just coming up to your house, possibly asking you for money and bothering you and all that stuff like that.
Researchers examined Google search trends across the US and found that people in states with relatively high income inequality were more likely to search for luxury brands than those in other states. You can actually map this correlation, and you can see searches for luxurious brands like Ralph Lauren or items like fur vest had the same breakdown as did the map of income inequality.
The interesting thing about this one is if you look at like California in general, I think they're not doing it as much. And a lot of tech workers are used to just dressing down in their zip-up hoodie and like their jeans and maybe even their flip-flops with socks on because they realize that they don't need to flex. I think you see more of that in like Florida or New York, but it's also because people in different industries dress differently as well, right? So people in the finance industry are going to wear the super nice suits, super nice watches, etc. But it's definitely the case for people in tech. And speaking of tech, this leads us to the sponsor of today's video, Nextiva. Back when I was a hard money lender, I would give people my personal cell phone number to call me. And this led to me getting calls at all times of the day, with no real way of knowing if an incoming call was a scammer or a legitimate borrower. My voicemail box would sometimes fill up and I would lose leads without even realizing it. If your business relies on talking to clients on the phone for calls or texting, you can't just operate without tools. You need to level up. This is why I'm so excited to talk to you about Nextiva. Nextiva lets you effectively talk to your customers by giving you unlimited calling and business texting, an AI auto attendant, and voice analytics that will make your business look as polished as a Fortune 500 company. For example, if you're on the phone with a customer using Nextiva, you can take notes on the call, text that customer, schedule a video meeting, and then join the video meeting all from the same program. Nextiva was rated the best business phone service in 2023 and 2024 by US News and has had over 200,000 new users in the past year alone. With Nextiva, you could be saving hundreds of dollars a month by getting rid of all the other tools that do the same thing while increasing your sales conversions with your customers. So if you're ready to level up your business, then go to trynextiva.com/SeanPan to get up to 50% off of your plan. Or check it out, the link in the description. And now, back to the video.
Despite what we think, that common luxury items are only purchased by the rich, it's actually the lower and middle class consumers that account for nearly half of the luxury goods market globally.
And honestly, why not just buy a fake Louis Vuitton? Because at the end of the day, a purse is a purse. And again, no one's really gonna know if your Louis Vuitton is real or not, right? If you're wearing for a status symbol, just buy the fake one.
Overpriced Air Jordan sneakers are popular amongst young African American men, including those from poor neighborhoods. Despite the fact that purchasing them might cause more financial stress, for many, it's considered a necessity.
And that's the origin story of Gustavo Fring and why he started a huge meth empire, because this man stepped on his J's.
Many people who are low income can't afford to appear like they are low income. It's hard to attract a romantic partner if you look like a broke loser, and good luck getting a good job if you show up at an interview looking like someone who's never had a good job before.
I mean, there's a big discrepancy between looking decent and over flexing. So I think everyone, of course, should have a nice pair of clothes and present themselves well, especially when going for dates or interviews. But you don't need to drip out in the latest fashion and go broke with doing so.
A study from Bain found that Gen Z consumers are starting to buy luxury items some 3 to 5 years earlier than millennials, at 15 years old versus around 18 to 20.
Imagine being a 15-year-old person with a Louis Vuitton purse and wearing that in high school. It's pretty nuts.
Buy now, pay later platforms like Afterpay and luxury resale sites like The RealReal offer even more ways for those financially insecure to partake in this illusion.
Definitely don't subscribe to this kind of stuff. It's just like what I talked about earlier about how to stay poor. If you get into buying like luxury goods or even furniture, even cars, and getting a big loan on it, it usually means you can't afford it in the first place. So you end up paying a lot more for a depreciating asset. So stay away from that.
As younger generations increase their consumption of luxury goods, these products lose their value as a means to signal wealth. Even in The Simpsons, what was supposed to be a cartoon about a lower middle class family has now done a collaboration with Balenciaga. It's clear that mainstream luxury fashion brands have begun shifting away from targeting the rich and instead towards advertising to the middle class. To rationalize their expensive price relative to quality, these luxury brands are careful to thread the needle between growth and scarcity. Many companies do limited production runs or even destroy their excess inventory to create scarcity.
I've heard about this before too. So you have all of these bags and they just burn all their unsold merchandise so that the value of your purse goes higher, because that way you limit the supply and keep the price at a steady level.
Old money and new money. Old money would be someone like a member of the Walton family who famously founded Walmart, and new money would be someone like your uncle who apparently made millions buying Bitcoin. Being old money suggests a kind of generational familiarity to wealth that doesn't require someone to show it off, compared to new money, which suggests someone didn't grow up rich and has a need or desire to project their newfound wealth.
I totally see this with a lot of people who are getting rich for the first time, especially if they're a lot younger and they don't really know how to use their money wisely. So even though they're making a lot of income, they're spending it on, nicer cars or fancy things instead of investing it so it can grow over the long run. Whereas the more well-off people are usually older and they've had a lot of ups and downs in their career. So they know that the money they make today may not be consistent. And so they're investing in it just in case things change in the long run. And then of course, I think the older people realize that they don't need these like fancy things, nice cars, fancy watches, jewelry, nice clothes to live a nice life. They understand what's important and then they focus their money on those things.
Social media, especially since the show Succession, seems to have really obsessed over the idea that old money is classy and new money is trashy, especially when it comes to how they dress. In the show, when luxury items were worn, they weren't from brands you probably ever heard of, and besides looking well fit and of high quality, they weren't anything unique.
If you watch the show, it's also very interesting too, because the character Tom here is actually very well off. Like both of his parents are very successful lawyers and they're probably, multi-millionaires, probably in the $10 to $50 million range. But then compared to the other family members who are billionaires, his net worth and his family's net worth is significantly small. But then again, in the show, you can't even tell, right? I honestly have no idea.
When we think of mainstream luxury brands, the first thing that comes to mind is often clothing that has its logo plastered all over it, but most fashion brands such as Ralph Lauren or Gucci typically also have a secondary sub-brand or style that lacks any obvious signs of branding, while also being higher quality and more expensive. It's kind of like how tech subscriptions have evolved. You can use the cheaper version with ads, or pay for premium and get a higher quality ad-free experience.
I actually prefer clothing without branding. Like, I think it's super obnoxious to have someone's brand on me all the time.
It goes without saying that not everyone that purchases flashy luxury items are insecure posers. Some just really like the brand, and that's perfectly fine. Advertising and social media has effectively allowed brands to communicate unique identities around their products, and there's enough variety for everyone to find something they like. There isn't anything inherently wrong with saving up to purchase a luxury item. Often, people do it as a gift to themselves to celebrate an achievement. The problem arises when these are used as a tool to project status, especially during times of economic hardship. While owning a home has become out of reach for many in the middle class, luxury consumption for the same demographic continues to go up.
I think it's really funny how there are some people out there who are struggling to pay their bills, put food on the table, enjoy themselves, go traveling. But then whenever they have some kind of lump sum payment or some kind of special bonus, they go out and spend it on like a new purse. It's very odd.
While some may say it's our own fault as our priorities have shifted, perhaps regular folks have merely given up on what used to be attainable, and these luxury brands have done a better job of capitalizing on our insecurities. So the next time you find yourself wanting to splurge on a luxury brand, question the reason you have that desire in the first place. Is it because you actually really like it and think it provides a lot of value per dollar? Or is it something more? Who are you really buying it for? Yourself? Or so that others can see you owning it?
I also wonder, what he's saying, what is the lifetime of that enjoyment you're gonna get from buying it? So if I drop $3,000 on a purse, how much enjoyment am I gonna get out of it? Versus if I just bought like a utility purse, I would enjoy it almost just as much, right? Yeah, again, I find this very odd. It's just something that's not in my nature to wanna buy these nicer things. I think as long as something is good quality and can last, then you don't need to buy this special brand that costs like 100 times more. I mean, I really enjoyed this guy's video. If you haven't already, go ahead and check the video out, subscribe to his channel. I think buying luxury items is for broke people. If you are super well off, there are other things you could be buying. And like I said, you don't need to flex to show off that you are better than other people. Save that money, put it to good use. Don't buy luxury items to make you look rich that actually make you poorer. Now that you guys know that buying luxury fashion is actually for broke people, check out this video where I talk about how to actually get rich in your 20s. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.